The brain processes nearly 10,000 visual and oral cues per minute. As first impressions stick, make the customer see your business in the right way. Funky Vibes can ensure your vibes attract the right tribe with their marketing expertise, graphic design, bespoke websites, and social media packages. For more information or a no-commitment initial consultation, simply email your tribe at funkyvibe.co.uk. You're listening to Go Fish, exclusively on the Pod Station.
Welcome everyone to the latest episode of the Go Fish Business podcast. We are recording live from the barn in Wirral, where you can buy fantastic local and artisan gifts. You can check them out on thebarnwirral.co.uk and on all of the on Facebook and Instagram. We should also mention that because we're doing it live, there may be the odd background noise because it is a vibrant, thriving little business, so there will be coffee machines percolating in the background and happy customers perusing.
Demolition.
And and next door, we just so happen to have planned it where an entire building's been demolished next door, so that's not Chris's hit because he stood up. It is someone pulling a wall down. My name is Mark Pollard. My business is Funky Vibes Marketing. Joining me, as always, are our two hosts. We have the Irrepressible, and I know I should use a different name, but when I swallow the thesaurus this afternoon, hopefully that'll give me another description. Yes, and gravy, because I'm from Yorkshire. It is Chris Roxburgh from My Marketing Guy.
Hi everybody, good to be here.
And we are also joined by the boss of the show, the social media dynamic whirlwind tornado that is Ishtar Ali of Encore Interiors. How are you doing, Ishtar?
That was a brilliant intro.
Thank you.
Actually, the best I've ever had. So
I know.
Thanks.
It's totally accurate.
I'll take it.
I'd like to take credit for doing some prep, but I've just made that up in my head right now.
Sharp, love it.
Very clever.
So, you haven't misheard my introduction. It is indeed now the Go Fish Business podcast. That's right, Ishtar, isn't it?
It is.
And why is that?
Because we want to open up the floor to more people and talk about, general topics that every business will encounter. So we just thought it was more relevant to kind of open up the space a little bit more.
Indeed, and so we will still be touching on marketing type stuff, but it just gives us a wider variation of topics that we can discuss, gives you a bit more scope to ask for us to cover things, and we obviously, because of our different areas of expertise, will probably allow us to approach those topics from slightly different directions.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the fact that, the three of us are drawing on our experiences, and we've all got very different experiences, and we've all been in business for very different periods of time, so it's wholly relevant in terms of what we say, but we can tell you what it looks like on the ground, and that's the beauty about it.
Amen to that. Of course, with the change of name goes a change of handle on the old socials, because of course everything has to be consistent, doesn't it, Mr. Roxburgh?
Certainly does. Consistency is king.
So it's now the @GoFish podcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn, although with Facebook and LinkedIn I suppose you could probably just put the Go Fish Business podcast in and you'll probably find us equally as easily.
Yeah.
We're also going to have a bit of a zoom of the old branding as well and give that update. And it's 2 years old, so in my book I'd be nodding my customers to update, pay me a bit more money.
I do think it's important to at least revisit it, so I'm glad that we're doing that.
So we're going to give that a bit of a TLC, get rid of some of the imagery we've been using and just give it a bit of a lick of paint.
All very exciting.
Isn't it? I suppose the next thing will be to try and encourage you guys to get in touch with us now that the floor has opened exponentially in terms of topics and the like. So if you want to get in touch with us on social media, or if you want to send an email to gofish@thepodstation.co.uk, we might well update that very shortly because we're going to get ourselves a website as well. So you probably be able to contact us through there too. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Send us an email, get in touch with us on social media, suggest topics of conversation. If you have questions or things that you feel we should have discussed, or if you fundamentally disagree with us with something that we've said, then get in touch with us. We want some engagement.
Absolutely.
Or even a 5-star review.
Well, of course, Chris.
You were coming to that, weren't
Well,
you?
we will take 4 stars.
I know
Will
you
we?
will.
Yes. Well, to be honest, I was going to
But
say I'd settle for 3.
That's
But
another topic altogether, isn't it?
oh dear. Yes, that says more about me, I guess. So yeah, if you want to get in touch with us, then do so. If you throw in the questions after this show has been released, don't worry, because what we will do is in the next episode we will revisit those questions and we'll discuss them before moving on to the new or latest topic. If you keep an eye on the socials as well, we're going to be mentioning what it is we're going to be covering in advance of the release date for the next show. So you will also be able to throw in some questions which hopefully we can deal with live on the show itself. We may even at some point, dare I say it, go live on the old YouTubes.
Why not?
And the Instas.
Yeah.
Again.
And the Facebooks. Oh yeah, well we're old hat now, aren't we, Chris?
Yeah. Experienced hands.
So I will have to iron my shirts. Chris, you'll have to buy one that looks...
I think this looks okay.
Well, you can see this on the video, so if anyone would like to get in touch and comment on... I do like it. I've always said plum's your colour, haven't I? You do have an entirely plum-coloured shirt.
I just forgot we were being videoed for a moment.
That's the whole point.
Lulled him into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
So, the next topic we're going to be covering is going to be business expos.
Yeah, business exhibitions.
We're going to be looking to see whether it's any good, why you would get a stall there, where you might visit them. We're going to be speaking hopefully to people who organise them to see why they feel that they are worthwhile. We're going to be doing that. We're going to be recording that show on the usual day that we do it, which will be on a Wednesday. But that so happens to coincide with the Wirral and Chester Business Fair, which we're going to be attending at the New Brighton Floral Pavilion on Wednesday, the 15th of September. It's 10:30 to 3 p.m.
And the tickets are free
They
on
are.
Eventbrite. So what if you are interested in meeting us, or if you indeed want to meet other business owners, then why not get down to it?
Join
Sounds
us
like
in
it's gonna
sunny
be
New
good.
Brighton.
Hopefully it will be sunny in 2 weeks.
Indeed. We are going to be doing some interviews, aren't we? So
Yeah.
if you are around and you do see us, feel free to rugby tackle us.
We'll be wearing branded outfits,
Yes,
Will we?
yeah.
like part of a fan club.
Christopher, when I'm involved, it's going to have branding on it. Although, if we change our logo, we're going to have to change all our hoodies and our T-shirts.
Which are already in print.
Oh well, never mind. So yeah, we are going to be having we are going to have T-shirts or hoodies or something to that effect on. So
Weather appropriate.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you do see us, come over, because we'd love to interview you as a business owner, just to find out why you like the show, whether there's any topics you'd like us to discuss, talking about the topic itself, the exhibition stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, get in touch with that, and you can also, as I say, keep an eye out on the old socials. Right, topic for today.
Pricing strategy.
Ooh,
Serious one.
it's
But actually,
a dirty
it's-
dirty topic of conversation,
Yeah, but
isn't
it's
it?
a super important one, and I don't know any business that hasn't struggled with pricing strategy at all, because it's such a big deal. So I am quite excited to talk. I mean, I am excited to talk about every topic, but this one particularly.
It's tough. Where do you set your prices? I mean, who wants to go first? Who wants to tell me what secrets they use to decide what their prices should be?
Let me tell you what I find, because I do quite a lot of workshops with startup companies, or I did before lockdown, and they are starting again in September. And
Nice little plug there, Chris.
well, it's a plug for me, and it's a plug for One Manchester.
Where
Because,
can they go, Chris, if they want to book onto those courses?
well, if they're in the Manchester area, they can go to a company called One Manchester. If they want to book on my courses, which are on Merseyside, then they need to go to my website, which is mymarketingguy.co.uk with 2 G's in the middle of My Marketing Guy. Anyway, just to get back to the point that I was making, or hoping to make anyway, I've met a lot of startup companies through these workshops, and the one error that they all, or the one trap, it's not an error, the one trap that they all fall into is that they undervalue their own abilities and experience.
Yeah, true.
Awful lot of people striking out on their own suffer from imposter syndrome, if you like. They won't call it that. I didn't call it that. But they will think, well, if I know this, then there can't be much value to it, so therefore I can't charge very much. And there are people in particular who are in the arts and crafts business who come on these workshops to find out about social media and how it can work for them, and they will tell me how many hours it's taken to create this whatever it might be, and I often find that the amount that they're charging bears absolutely no relationship to the amount of effort and time that's being put in. They're effectively paying themselves about £2 an hour. And this is something that startup businesses have to come to terms with, because the value of the product that they're creating isn't reflected in the price, and there's a difference between price and value.
I always get nervous when I'm quoting clients. You always worry about being too expensive.
Yeah.
I'd never have the concern of worrying about being too cheap, which is obviously an odd way to look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But has that changed as your business has progressed? Have you got more confident in your pricing since you initially started your business?
No, I suppose there's some jobs and some clients where you're not as bothered about whether you get the work, so you quote it as you feel it should be quoted. But for the jobs you really do want, there's that horrible pang of anticipation. Is it going to be too expensive? Are they going to get a quote elsewhere?
Yeah, it was a bit different for me. I think I started my building business petrified that we were too expensive, and I think I made like £50 on our first job, which is like nothing, because I was so desperate to get my first customer in. But then, a year and a half down the line, I quote exactly what I know our value is, and I've got the mentality, which I hope I get for interiors, that the right customer will find me. And if a customer is not willing to pay my price, then it's not my customer. And I think if you get to that point, that's like a revelation. But most people find it really difficult to get to that point, I think.
Yeah. Where do you start when you're putting your price list together?
Google. I'll just steal that, Chris. You have to research, you have to benchmark, of course, don't you?
Well, you say that. How many businesses or how many of your competitors have their prices on their website for you to be able to Google and find out?
Well, this is a really good point, because that was another topic I wanted to address during this discussion about whether or not people should publish pricing or not, or if they do, actually.
Oh, I know, because I've read your notes.
In my industry, people actually do publish pricing, so it was really easy to find other e-designers' pricing. So I had a massive Excel spreadsheet full of everybody else's pricing, and I was just like, right, I'll stick myself in there. But for building contracting, it's different, because every project is different, and so you can't publish pricing, so you have to just give a price based on what your costs are, and that's it.
I certainly put my social media management costs on my website now. I didn't, but do you know what? It is what it is.
People can deselect themselves if they think it's too expensive, and
exactly.
I think that is a good thing. It's not a bad thing.
I prefer to be transparent and have it out there.
Exactly.
I don't know why people are so fearful. Well, I know why people are fearful for it, because some people, the people who are perhaps super cheap or those who are exceedingly expensive, don't want people to know that, and therefore are reluctant. The number of times where, certainly with the drone stuff, they're terrible in the drone services world, where you'll quote a price, and I think my prices are really quite competitive, but I mean, the last job I did, I was undercut quite substantially by someone else, And because the price was a competitive one, I have no idea how that person's going to make any money.
Yeah.
And the irony is they're shooting themselves in the foot by doing that, because ultimately they're driving down the average price for doing a job, because the expectations for people will now be, so that customer now expects that price for that job. They'll go tell someone else that's how much they paid for that job. And so that person now has an expectation. And so what they're actually doing is they're driving the whole market down, or potentially driving it all down. And I suppose some people might say, yeah, but we'll get the work. But if you're doing 10 jobs and you're making 5% profit, do you want those 10 jobs? Would you not rather do 2 jobs and make the same amount of money?
Yeah.
I think at the beginning you might have that thought process that, you know, go in cheap and get as many jobs as you can, because then it goes to like reviews if you could do a good service. But ultimately it doesn't pay dividends, because you just end up working like a chicken or some other
headless chicken.
Thank you, Mark.
That's all right. I was interested to see which animal you were going to use there.
Yes.
I did struggle, but I mean, you do end up like running around yourself a little bit until you realise, actually, if I just do one job at the right price, it's you know, better than doing 5 jobs at a lower price.
Yeah.
Does that mean being creative then with your prices? So discounts, giveaways?
Got to be careful, haven't you? Because discounts and giveaways, what are you giving away? You're actually giving away your margin. So yes, use them, but use them sparingly. Don't let them become a matter of which furniture company was it that always had a closing down sale?
Yeah, they're still open now. Is it well, if they'd like to be a sponsor of the show. Is it MFI?
It's finally closed down, actually.
Oh, was it?
The company that was doing it has finally closed down. It did during the pandemic.
20 years on from its first closing down sale.
Yes, but if you adopt that tactic, nobody ever believes you, and nor did we believe they were always closing down. Eventually it was going to be right, but we would wait for the next closing down sale if we missed the first one, wouldn't we?
But that's what I mean. If you're creative with those, is that a better way of going cheap? So rewarding loyalty or adding in services that you can afford to absorb within the profit margins, but not to the same extent, but making people feel like they're doing it. To give you an example, there are pizza production people, and if anyone's watching the video of this, they'll probably realise I am somewhat of a connoisseur of the old pizza. From the way I'm breathing in and wearing a baggy jumper. They are a right royal pain in the bum. I went home to my parents this weekend, and on the Sunday we decided to order a pizza, and they ordered 3 large pizzas, which were probably still too big for the 3 of us, and it came in at 60 quid.
Wow.
60 for 3 pizzas?
They ordered 3 extra large pizzas, which are huge, and it came in at 30 quid. And it's like, hang on a minute, we've just got the same number of pizzas, but they're bigger, and it's 30 quid cheaper. And it's because they put those every single time you ring up these, probably people know which companies I'm talking about. Every time you ring up, there's an offer on, which isn't really an offer. It's basically brings the bill to the same price. It's just how you reach that price. It might be you buy one get one free, or if you buy 2 you get them half price. It's the same thing. It's still going to cost whatever it is, 15 quid.
I think there is definitely like room and space for it, because, you know, if your business is seasonal, you might have winter periods where it's a little bit slower, for example, or the summer period when everybody goes on holiday. I can see that businesses could use special offers or discounts or prize giveaways or whatever during that period to maintain, you know, some level of basic business during like slower periods. Or indeed, if you're celebrating an anniversary of your business, or you're starting a business, I mean, and you don't have a lot of projects, like totally you would use that kind of incentive to try and, you know, boost business in some way. So I think if you use it sparingly, it's definitely a benefit, and I think people should consider doing it. Plus it makes a lot of noise on social media if you can start to give away stuff free, although we have tried it in the past, haven't we, and we haven't really succeeded very well.
I suppose that's a brilliant example, Chris, of pricing. How much of a factor is it really in someone's decision? We were running a competition for our 50th show, weren't we?
We were
all giving stuff away for free,
and it was worth like 900 quid in total.
And trying to get someone to come up for it was like trying
pulling
to
teeth,
yeah.
Yeah, but people are very cynical these days, aren't they? They think nothing's free. There's no such thing as a free lunch. And generally there isn't. But in this case, there was.
But that's a good example of why offering it for free or for a nominal price might not necessarily be the best way of getting that work.
No, quite agree.
Well, maybe we positioned it in the wrong way. I don't know.
You can all pay full price for it, you miserable son-toes.
I mean, I'd be willing to try it again and maybe go with a different way of presenting it. I mean, there could be 20 million reasons why that didn't go, but I still think that you can genuinely do a nice thing and, you know, it not have to be reciprocated anyway.
Totally. What other factors do you guys use for determining your prices beyond copying your competitors?
Well, there is a mathematical element to it, isn't there? You've got to cover your cost.
Got to cover your costs. You've got to work out the amount of your own time that's
all the
involved.
Overheads.
Yes, overheads, the lot.
Hands up, who's got a spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Are you watching on the video? We've all got our hands up. Everyone's got a spreadsheet, baby.
Yeah.
Do you use it for every job when you're quoting then?
Yeah, I do. You have to have your spreadsheet. I don't know who doesn't use a spreadsheet for work.
Do you print it off and take it to bed with you and cuddle it like a teddy bear?
Yeah, if I wasn't trying to save paper, I totally would.
You just cuddle your laptop instead with it still open on the screen.
Yeah, but I mean, some accounting softwares give you the ability to do your pricing on their systems, but the one I use doesn't give me that option, but I know some do. Doing a review with your accountant when you're setting up and just establish what your overheads are going to be, or your expected overheads are going to be, and just make sure that your pricing covers it, because you'll have to do your business plan.
Oh, that's interesting. You just mentioned the A word there, accountant. Do you work with your accountant? Do you work with your accountant on pricing?
Honestly, I haven't, but in hindsight, I think it would have been a useful topic. However, you only get your accountant when you start your business, or at least I did. I didn't ever have an accountant before I started my business, so I don't feel like I had a relationship with an accountant well enough to be able to set a pricing strategy. I was like, I'll do it myself. But if I was to open a new business with my established accountant, I would probably use his expertise to say, what do you reckon? Because we've got some data in terms of like what the market looks like or whatever, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's calling on somebody else's expertise and experience, isn't it?
Yeah, I think more than one perspective is always useful when you're doing stuff like this. Just test the water, isn't it? What
factors do you include then when you're working out your overheads? Because we used overheads, but that's quite a generic description of the things you're calculating to determine your price.
Depends on your business, doesn't it?
Okay, so you're talking materials, things you're actually maybe paying for.
Insurances, legal costs.
Licenses for stuff.
Licenses, yeah. Accountants' fees, subscription, marketing costs, all of this kind of stuff.
And the main one, time.
Yeah.
Time.
It often gets neglected, doesn't it, though?
Hugely.
I know, I've neglected time.
Probably not here. Oh, you have?
I have neglected time in pricing previously.
Right.
I'm much better with it now, but
yeah.
Certainly at the beginning I did not. I was trying to break even, and I think lots of businesses will resonate with that thing. Like, I just want to be able to cover my, tangible expenses, and then in year 2 I'll try and make a little bit of money for myself.
Yes, and a toehold in the market is probably the ambition at that stage as well.
Yeah.
Which is why so many startup companies do undervalue their services or products. Desperate to get that toehold in the market. And it's very difficult. If you're priced, should we say, very competitively, or preferably low, it's very difficult to get that rate up. It's easy to start high and go down. It's not so easy to start low and increase.
Nobody likes being told that what they've already paid for is going to be more expensive second time round, I guess, doesn't it? Do they?
No, but I mean, how does a new business compete in a big market?
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that would feel, personally don't know anybody that would feel comfortable setting a price. So, for example, if I was going to set up a drone company, you've been in business for how long?
2 years.
Okay. So if I just roll up and I'd be like, I'm charging the same as Mark, but you've got reviews and you've got a customer base and I don't, like, that's not logical. I would definitely go in lower than you would.
But would customers go into that much research to determine how long you'd been open?
I think customers are super critical about the services that they choose now. I mean, look how easy it is, and we've done a podcast about reviews before. Look how easy it is for people to sanity check and, check your business before they choose to take your service. I mean, it's such a common thing. I know I never select a service without doing a shed load of research on it. What about you guys?
Oh, absolutely. Three quotes.
Yeah.
Well, not always, in fairness, but generally 3 quotes. Yeah.
And it's not always about the price. Sometimes if somebody's got a better review,
absolutely.
Then...
No. Sometimes it's about it's about the chemistry between you and the supplier as well.
Yeah.
If I would never necessarily go with the lowest quote as a matter of course. If I had total confidence in the person, then I would, regardless of whether they were low, medium, or high. But we've recently had a house renovated, and we didn't, in any way, shape, or form, choose the least expensive options.
Can I just make a point? That was a really good point that you made on that.
Well done, Chris.
Yeah, because I think being transparent as a new business owner is super important. I know when I started my business, I was telling everybody I was new to the market, and I wasn't trying to hide that I'd been in business for ages. And I think you're right, customers will resonate with you based on the type of personality that you have. So I think if you set your pricing at whatever point you want to, but are personable, and you can build that rapport with customers in a quick way, then actually it can still work.
Well, people buy people, don't they?
Well, yeah, ultimately, yeah.
With 22 million UK users, LinkedIn offers a fabulous opportunity to find your ideal clients and to stay ahead of your competition. But what do these future clients currently find when they visit your profile? First impressions count. So, are you proud of your fantastic profile because it is client ready and written with them in mind? Or do you look at it and wonder how you could do better because you are not generating leads? My Marketing Guy works with those who want to take advantage of the amazing potential offered by LinkedIn. So, for more details, please email guy@mymarketingguy.co.uk to arrange an initial consultation. Remember, your next client is on LinkedIn.
Well, I suppose you just touched upon other factors that are a decision-making element to the whole process.
Yeah.
So we're talking about pricing here, and going back to the where do you position yourself in the market if you are up against a multi-million-pound marketing agency, Chris? How do you compete with that? Well, you might not be able to offer the same pricing by virtue of, I know printers who have to charge more because they're smaller, because the print costs, the overheads to them, they haven't got the buying power exactly. Yeah. So, but those are other factors. You've just perfectly and eloquently mentioned a couple of other factors that people might take into the equation. So it's that personal element. They might get better client care because you've got a smaller base that you're looking after. They might be able to come and see you, whereas it might be a more remote process if you're 100%. Dealing with a bigger business. Are these things that people probably weigh up as an equal importance to price?
I think so. It depends how price conscious each individual buyer is, and we're all different, aren't we? And we're all different at different stages in our lives and at the different sorts of products that we buy.
Well, do you have? I mean, I used pizzas before. Perhaps going to my mental state. Yeah. Does anyone have any pricing stories that particularly pop into their head where price either was such a relevant point or perhaps wasn't in the circumstances? Is there anything service you use regularly where it doesn't matter what the price is, you're still going to do it, or actually there's something way more important that makes you do it?
Clothing?
Yeah.
I guess. Many people have an affinity to a certain brand, and so they may always go to that brand even if they're more expensive because the fit works better or it looks better on them or whatever.
The cinema for me. So I pay for more expensive tickets to go into the gallery of a well-known cinema brand, even though I'm paying more, it's because then I don't have to sit with public plebs. And I'm joking there. It's because I love watching the film. Usually when I go and watching films I really want to watch, I don't want to be disturbed. I want that same experience I would get sitting in my living room. I don't want, and I don't know why they do this, cinemas sell the world's noisiest food. Everything's incredibly noisy. You'll get people who literally can't put the phone down for more than 5 minutes, constantly opening up the screen and what have you. And I just don't want that. So I'm happy to pay more to be removed from that and be in a situation where I don't have that to contend with, so I can just purely enjoy the movie. And I don't mind paying more for that, but there are other people who won't be bothered by those things, who won't want to pay that extra price. They're quite happy sitting in and amongst the people with the carry bags and the nachos. I mean, I don't get me wrong. I like eating. I quite like eating the nachos. I just don't want to hear everyone else eating them.
The one that comes in with their own putties.
I think it's called hypocrisy.
I think holidays would be mine. Don't do cheap and cheerful. If you're going to go away, have a bit of luxury in either a self-catering, and you can get luxurious self-catering accommodation, or a hotel. So that would be mine. If you're going to do it properly.
I agree.
Does it matter? We always like to bring this back, Chris, to your marketing strategies, or now with the business podcast, your business plans. Mm-hmm. Because doesn't it matter about? Isn't it relevant for the target market you're after?
Yeah,
you've just given an example there of holidays, but what happens if I can't afford a nice holiday? I will take whatever gets me into the sun, sand, beach holiday I'm trying to afford. Whereas, as you say, there will be people like yourself who perhaps are more discerning. So, are there holiday? Well, there are. Well, we know the answer to that. There are holiday companies who pitch for both types, don't they?
I'd miss a year's holiday and go on a better one the following year, and we've done that. There's nothing worse, and I have done it. There's nothing worse than going on holiday and being totally at odds with the accommodation and just not relax. You don't relax if you end up in accommodation, either a hotel or self-catering, that just really isn't up to scratch.
Is there anything you've ever done, Ishtar, which you've felt ripped off by? You've just thought, by jingo, that's left me feeling cold and empty and dark inside. I wish I'd left my wallet at home on that particular day.
I guess it's anywhere where you could just go in and pay full price for something, and then a week later it's discounted and you're like, God damn.
Well, isn't that a great example?
I mean,
there is a television company who are particularly guilty of that, where for existing companies, for existing customers, you're paying, say, £30 a month for one of the packages. But if you get a new customer, you can pay half price for that for 12 months. Yep. Which, as an existing customer, when I was an existing customer, that used to really irk me.
Yeah.
I used to ring up and go, well,
why can't I get the same?
Why can't I get that? And they go, oh, it's for new customers only. It's like, why? Am I not as important as a new customer?
Now we're going into a different field here, aren't we? We're talking about should there be a reward for loyalty? Because I've just done something similar with my insurances at home. I've switched. Well, I decided for once in my life I'd get some comparative quotes, which I did, and I've shaved £400 a year off my motoring expenses. Now, I could have done that 10 years ago, but I've been loyal to that one particular company for all that time, and that's the thanks I get. I'm paying way over the odds, and I think that loyalty should be rewarded. Now, do either of you have any mechanism whereby you might reward a loyal customer with whatever?
That's a good question. I suppose I would say that I don't offer any incentives for new customers, so everyone gets charged the price. And I suppose that doesn't necessarily mean I shouldn't reward loyalty, but I guess to take you back to the example I just gave, I'm not rewarding new people to the detriment of the existing ones. But I suppose there is a loyalty scheme discount. For me, retainer clients, I always say to a retainer client, what you pay for, you get way more value for your money, because there's a whole other element of a whole raft of factors that mean that I can be more efficient, and I'm more prepared to do more, and I'm prepared to turn it around faster, just because you are that loyal person. I suppose it's not price that they get an extra benefit for being loyal, they get other things, but there is a reward.
I'm with you, yeah. I don't differentiate between new customers and existing customers. Exactly what you said.
What about mates rates? Hands up who's done a mates rate and regretted it.
Well, yes.
We've all got our hands up for the benefit of those not watching the video.
God, it's such a topic, innit? Because it's so emotive. You guys asked me to decorate your room, I'd probably just do it for free.
I know, but what happens if I actually turn out to be an arse? It's like, I don't like it.
Turn out to be?
Yeah, well, okay. No, it's fair comment. He knows me well. If it transpires that I am the person that I am, and I'm an arse, I not only you not making as big a profit because you're doing it at mates rates, but it takes you twice as long, and it's still not right, and I'm still begrudgingly causing you grief because I'm still not happy, just because I'm one of them.
And you end up falling out.
Yeah, but would you give mates rates to just a random mate, or would you give it to somebody who you knew well? Because I wouldn't give it just to a random mate.
I know, but there's certain things, I suppose, that float people's boats, or they're more pedantic about, aren't they? And you might not necessarily know that's the case until you actually do the job.
Maybe.
I used to do it with legal work. I stopped doing it very quickly, where you'd help someone out with a legal problem, and it would just suck up your time. And imagine. Mainly with legal things, no one was ever left feeling satisfied, so there'd be grumbles. And then you had your indemnity insurance, so you had to create a file for it, because if anything went wrong and they wanted to sue you for professional negligence, you had to have all the paperwork to deal with that sort of a potential issue. It was just a hazard, and very, very, to be honest, I don't even think I probably did do anything that was a sort of a favour. It all had to be done properly, whether I charged for it or whether I charged the right amount. That's where perhaps the factors came in, but I probably, with the exception of very close friends and family, always regretted not charging what I should have charged for that job. Don't do it, people.
How do you say no? Or how do you...
No.
It's not that easy, Mark.
Look in a mirror.
It's not that easy, and like, these people may know family members, and then, it gets a little bit political.
But I suppose that's a strategic thing. Are you saying yes to somebody who might pass you new work? It might be someone who's passed you work. It might be someone who's a very close family friend who might have done other things in your life which has helped you, which perhaps have been of an equal
each case
imposition. That's what I mean. I suppose, again, there's other things to factor in.
I think, Ishtar, you might find that you're too busy.
Well, actually, that's exactly the point that I was going to make, that if a mate does say, oh, can you decorate my room or whatever, I'll be like, oh, I'm fully booked till January. And I think that that's a nicer way to say no. Not that I've done that, by the way, just to clarify.
In case anybody's listening.
Yeah, in case one of my customers is listening.
Now, this might be a stupid question, you'll tell me, but how do you know if your customers are going to be willing to pay your price? I suppose the easy answer is, well, you'll have no business. But how might you know that might be meaning you lose out on quotes?
Demographic research, isn't it?
Do you follow up on people that you've sent quotes out to?
Yes.
If you don't hear from them?
Yes, always.
How many times do you follow up?
Twice max. And then I let it go.
Wow.
Yeah.
I always find that quite disappointing when people don't reply when you're giving them a quote, just saying how you're getting on. If you're not interested, that'd be great, but I'd just love to hear why it might not have been me.
It absolutely riles me up that people don't respond to quotes. How much time does it actually take to do a quotation? Sometimes, especially in building, I spend hours doing quotations, so for somebody just not to write a 2-minute email to say no thank you, absolutely drives me nuts.
Do you know that there are all sorts of stats about follow-ups, and 44% of salespeople, so in other words, somebody who's given a quote to somebody, it doesn't have to be, it could be a business owner, stroke salesperson, they give up after the first follow-up. The most successful salespeople carry on and they get a decision after the 4th or 5th or 6th time.
No, I would never go that far. Never. 2 maximum, and then I just move on.
It's tough, isn't it? I understand what Chris is saying, but if you feel like you've wasted time doing the quote because they've not come back to you on the 2 follow-up check, bearing in mind you've sent them the quote, that's 1, and you send them 2 chasers, so you've taken the time to try and contact them 3 times, plus the time you'll have spent with them to put the quotation together. At what point do you go, how much time? If it's the 4th email I'm sending, am I now actually eating into the profit margins if I'm even lucky enough to get the job? Because if they suddenly turn around and go, yeah, you can have the job, you go, great, stick another £100 on that because that's how much bloody money it's cost me chasing you to get the answer in the first place.
I wouldn't be sending them emails. I'd be ringing them up.
Oh, I thought you were going to say go knocking down on the door, kick the door
You can
in.
do, yeah. Call in. Just passing. Any news on the quotation that I gave you recently?
Wow, I'm not sure I'd have the bravery to do that.
I have done that. Not very often, but I have done that.
And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I shouldn't feel that way, should I? I don't know.
You shouldn't.
It's an insecurity on my part, clearly, that I would even feel embarrassed about chasing someone.
They should feel guilty about not having given you a definite yes or a definite no.
That's the point that I have. Like, if after 2 tries somebody hasn't bothered to come back to me, do I really want to work with someone like that?
And I don't want to make them feel guilty either, or feel bad, because if they feel bad, I'll feel bad about making them feel bad, which sounds ridiculous.
Yes,
but
it makes sense, actually.
There are ways around that, though, aren't there? And you don't need. You're not being aggressive with your follow-up. It is a case of just wondering if you've made a decision yet. Can I ring you back in a month? When you get the not yet, can I ring you back in a month then?
Has there ever been an occasion where you've given a quotation to somebody and then they've said that your price is too high, can you reduce it, and you actually have?
Ooh, that's a good question.
There has been, for me, there's been a situation where they've said the price is too high, so I've gone back and said, okay, let's look at what we can take out. So I haven't negotiated on. It's not going to take me as much time by cutting something out. So we cut that element out, and then it comes within their budget, but they don't get the full facility.
So do you ascertain the budget before you do a quotation?
I have tried in the past. Yes, you don't always get it. And of course the other element is the old gold, silver and bronze service as well. That's a bit old hat now. People call them different things these days. But
Platinum, baby.
Having 3 levels of service.
Or vibranium.
Having 3 levels of service and saying, well, you won't want the cheaper one because that's not... and the top one is possibly too expensive. Let's have a look at the middle one. The interesting thing, this was explained to me many years ago, you've just told them that they can't afford the top one. They then become interested in it. That's worked for me on a couple of occasions, and I know it works for other companies beautifully. You've got to be a very, very good salesperson to get away with that, though. But to be able to dangle the gold service in front of them and say that's possibly too expensive. So let's concentrate on the middle one.
Chris with his mind warfare.
Oh man, go on, Chris.
Have a think about that one.
The other thing you've got to bear in mind, there are the more scrupulous people out there who will always be trying to save a few pennies,
Of course.
who just have that hard-nosed, faced ability to go, knock 50 quid off, or can't you do that a bit cheaper, or I've had an offer from somewhere else and it's a bit cheaper, if you can knock the price down I'll go with those kind of people. I know a couple of people who do that, and I always say no to those people. For me, my comeback is just simply, it's a fair price. I've put some thought into why it's that price. You don't want me to do it for cheaper because there'll be no motivation. I don't want to do it for cheaper, so it is what it is. And if that's no good, then by all means go with the cheaper one, but cheaper isn't always better, as I think we've already discussed.
Buy cheap, buy twice.
Indeed. Or
100%.
pay peanuts.
Get monkeys. Been down to say that all session.
I thought as much because he was in the show notes.
No, but you're right, Mark. Always be prepared to walk away from a bad deal for you.
Absolutely. How often do you review your prices?
In my case, every time I do a quotation.
How often do you do it?
I don't know. I haven't really thought of that too much.
Do you publish your prices?
They're not on the website as such, but that's largely because there's that many different things that that we can do. It'd be like a War and Peace with the website. But I'm not. If people want a quote, I'm happy to put something together, and it's a no obligations quote, so they can say I would like that. And I do have packages that I put together, particularly for like startup businesses, which I will send them so they can see what everything is, and then they can determine which pieces or which services might be of most use to them right there and then. And I guess if you were doing an assessment of your business, you'd look at how much work you've had of a particular type, and if you're getting a huge amount of one type, is it because you're charging too little, or if you want more of another one, is it because you're quoting too much? And I suppose it's those annual business reviews. Assessments, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely.
What about you?
I have packages for interiors, which is as transparent as it could be, and going back to what I said before, I have it that way because I want people to deselect themselves from my service, but I also offer bespoke packages on there, so I give myself a one leg in, one leg out kind of scenario. So if somebody does want a little bit of a mishmash, I will do it for you. But I think that for me is a comfort zone, because I've gone from not publishing any prices at all and being very frustrated with that process of taking time to do quotations, to now being uber transparent with it and just putting it out. And I would absolutely do what you do, an annual business review, see how many of what package I've sold, and then review it.
As a lawyer, I always had my prices on the website, and that was before most firms probably did.
Yeah.
As a general rule, they were always very reluctant for that whole, it was almost like a secret club. Nobody wanted to tell the world what they charge for fear of someone going in cheaper or trying to undercut and what have you. And there's now rules for solicitors where they have to have the prices on their website, but I did it way before these rules were introduced, because I was very much of the opinion they are what they are. You can see what you're getting. You're then making a determination based on other factors. If you want to go away, get a quote and go cheaper, then that's you're rolling the dice there. And I'm satisfied that if you come with us, you won't feel like you've been had over.
But I think the easier you make it for somebody to access your pricing, the better it is for you. Because how many times do you submit a quote for a quote on a website and it might not come back, or it takes forever to come back? And if I was looking to buy a service, if somebody at least has a starting price on there, then I can again select or deselect myself from that, rather than sending 50 emails out and waiting for responses to come back. So I think there's a potential for both to be. And
if you're worried about being undercut, people are going to go away, and if those people are going to go away and get those quotes, you're going to get undercut anyway. You're not changing the outcome.
You can't compete on being the cheapest, because you'll never be the cheapest. So why bother?
Absolutely. Well, I think pricing, we've been quite comprehensive there in an overview type of way.
Been interesting.
Yeah, it has been interesting, hasn't it? Hopefully it's been interesting to you as the listeners. Maybe we haven't covered a topic, maybe there's a factor we haven't mentioned, maybe there's a question you now have, either in terms of the topic as a whole, or a question you have about us and something that we've said.
And our experiences,
It is a vast subject. There's an awful lot we won't have covered, and it would be interesting to have questions.
Yeah, so if you want to do that, you can direct message us on the social medias.
Yeah.
It's the Go Fish Business Podcast, or at Go Fish Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and LinkedIn. You can send an email to gofish@thepodstation.co.uk, or you can accost us in the street. Or you can come and ask us at the Wirral and Chester Business Fair, which is the 15th of September at New Brighton Floral Pavilion in the Squirrel.
Yeah, Squirrel. Love
Parking
that.
Very easy.
Indeed. Indeed. You're probably wondering, because we haven't done we like the old competitions, or we usually do a bit of a challenge each week. Last week we did a personality test. We established Chris is a feeler.
And
lawyers have been called in since then.
Comparable to Britney Spears, which found quite amusing.
This week we're going to probably do a price challenge thing over the old social medias.
Yes.
So keep an eye out for that. That'll be dropping in the next week or two.
What format will that take, Mark?
Well, it'll probably a post. We'll probably be throwing out things where you can guess the price. It'd be like Bruce Forsyth, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Play your cards right. Higher, lower, higher than an ace, lower.
Oh, that one where they used to be on a conveyor belt in the 80s. What was that?
That was the generation game, wasn't it?
Yes. Brilliant. Oh, man. Throwback.
Chris doesn't remember these because he was out clubbing at that time.
He's probably playing cricket. That was on a Saturday, wasn't it?
we were young weans, so we were watching it on Saturday nights, weren't we?
Yeah.
And the tooltip that we usually come up with, I think we were only in agreement that Google is your friend for this.
Google is your very best friend
For market research.
For research into competitors' pricing.
Do you know, I used to have a business manager who used to ring up other businesses
That's
to get a quote.
That's a great idea.
She always had to do it because I never had the compunctions to do it.
No.
So she'd ring up and get a quote for stuff. And oh my God, I feel so naughty.
Yeah, get your friend to do it. Or your mum. Whoever.
You couldn't do it these days because the phone number pops up, doesn't it? So they just ring you back.
Be really dirty, get a burner phone.
Yeah.
Pay as you go from Tesco's.
We know where to get one from.
Spend that tenner
Exactly.
on your competitors. Right, well, guys, thank you very much for another fantastic show. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Yeah.
I didn't think Price was going to come from Yorkshire. Price is usually a sensitive topic for me, but I enjoyed that more than
you embraced it, Mark.
I did. Yeah. I'm going to go for
Very
a lie
good.
down now.
I know.
And I left my wallet at home just in case.
No, it was good.
Brilliant. Well, if people want to get hold of us, if they want to find us on social media, how can they best find you, Chris?
Guy at mymarketingguy, 2 G's in the middle, .co.uk.
What about your socials?
Oh, socials, just put My Marketing Guy in. Or my own name, Chris Roxburgh.
Brilliant.
I'll pop up.
Ishtar?
Ishtar Ali on LinkedIn and Ancora Interiors on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, indeed. And same for me, just stick my name in on the old LinkedIn if you're going to do it, or at Funky Vibes with a 3 instead of a knee.
I love it.
I'm going to say give us a follow on the social medias, drop us a review on whichever platform you're using to listen to, because it massively helps us get a bit more exposure. And we're going to be, I suppose we should also mention, we're going to be starting some business spotlight segments on the show as well.
Yes, very exciting that we're actually going to shed the light on other small businesses through social media in an attempt to pay it forward, dare I say those words.
Ooh,
But
that's been taken.
share the love and just help each other be connected with each other.
Indeed.
Yep.
So if you would like to do that or be part
Send
of
us
that,
a DM
Yeah.
and I will be in touch.
splendid. Guys, thank you very much as always.
Thank you, Mark.
Fantastic job, and we hope you've enjoyed it. We'll catch you later. Bye
For
now.
now.
Bye.
Get social at go_fish marketing on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.